Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, NRL Supercoach round 14 edition, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. The first major buy round is thankfully behind us. Not too difficult, but unfortunately, as we lead into the Origin opener, round 14, the first mini buy round, looks like it could be a significantly tougher round to get through. Here to help navigate it with us, a very special guest of the SC Playbook podcast today, champion athlete, Australian legend, the Supercoach Spy. Spy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to see you've got the pecking order ready. I was actually about to jump in then, and you did it for me. Going well. Very good stuff, that. Not a bad week. The very short story of last weekend was Sammy Walker. Once Teddy was ruled out, I jumped on and went, what am I going to do? I ended up bringing in Sammy for his 90-odd, which was nice. Did leave me potentially short this weekend, but it looks like team lists have been kind, so I took a little punt, and it went all right, which is good. I stayed steady, still around the mid-4,000s, but I think it was tricky to move last weekend, except one of our other guests in a minute, but I do think the forthcoming buy rounds will have a lot more impact on everything, so yeah.
That man who is on an absolute tear, and he comes back on a timely week. 2019 NRL Supercoach champion. He's a little bit of a sniff to become the first bloke to go back-to-back. That being said, we did have the overall leader last week. He's a former champion, so he might be ahead of you. Dez Creek, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Cruising in the top 500 now. But, a little bit worried. I've traded a bit too hard, a bit too early. Used all 5 boosts. I've only saved 2 trades, which was not last week, but the week before. Other than that, I've max traded. So the squad's looking good. I do have a full 17 this week before trades, which is always good.
How many trades left, does he?
18 trades left. So I may or may not trade this week. I put the poll up on Twitter to see what the folks wanted. But yeah, I'm really tossing up whether I should just hold and taper off a bit since I'm so highly ranked. And just see how things play out.
The man of the people, the Twitter polls putting it out there. The thing about it though, Desi, is that you have gone very hard on trades. It is cause for concern, but at least you're sitting top 500. So it's like, if you'd gone really hard, used all your boost, and you're sitting 10, 15K, you'd be going, okay, now I am in all sorts, but at least you're up there. Yeah,
well, it's exactly what I did in 2019, right? I just max traded until I was first, and then had my team set, and then just did, jigs here and there with injuries to get through it and cover people who, other teams had and I didn't,
Do you have to make many trades for the bigger bye weeks coming out, like 16 and 19? Have you had much of a look at that yet?
I haven't had much of a look, to be honest, but I think I'll be okay. I don't have many Origin players, and you get 3 trades in those big bye weeks, right? So I should be okay.
Also with us today, the actual special guest to the podcast, Socceroos captain, long-time frequenter of the SC Playbook podcast, Maty Ryan. Maty, welcome to your first studio appearance of the podcast.
Cheers, Timmy, mate. Spy, Dez. It's obviously good to be back on here. It's been a while. Obviously, SC Playbook has been making waves, and obviously got this set up now with the live YouTube and whatnot. And it's great to be here and be talking some Supercoach.
Good to have you on board, mate. Parramatta Eels tragic, and we've had you certainly on the SC Playbook podcast in the past, but before we went into studio, I think it was the start of last season even, obviously being based overseas in Europe, harder to get you on since you've gone into studio. Had you on a couple other remotely recorded Playbook podcasts, but mate, you're really starting to find your groove in Supercoach this year.
Yeah, mate, I guess I'm probably, my 4th or 5th season into it, and obviously trying to learn as I go and whatnot. Trying to go perhaps a little bit more out on a limb this season and a little bit more aggressive along the lines of, Dez's approach and whatnot, and obviously listening to yourself. I've cut off Spy, so I think that's been a positive thing as well. So... yeah,
you actually have. You've stopped. I said I'm not answering, and you stopped asking. So mutual understanding.
And your rank skyrocketed.
No, exactly. I think the last 2 seasons I beat Spy, so that's why I think I should stop listening to him. So
good time to go around the grounds.
Does Spy ever ask you for advice?
Every now and then it starts to come back in, but no.
I have a quick story on the back of that, actually.
What do you got, mate?
We're catching up quickly Saturday. I walked in and Matty's blowing up in the corner. I'm like, what's wrong, mate? It's like, freaking Luke, he's just got binned. I'm like, oh, you brought him in, sucker. Look at the scores. I'm leading you by 6 points. So it's giving me a little lead heading into the podcast, yeah.
Also with us today, as always, the staple of the SC Playbook podcast, Maty the Waterboy. Maty, how are you, mate?
What's doing? I've been demoted as my Matt ranking has gone down. First time ever, but, not too mad. Not too mad.
Maty, it's been a good couple of weeks for you. Obviously, the Bunnies getting a win, got the 2 points for the bye on the weekend, G'ing up for Origin. And Eminem dropped a new track.
I've listened to it like 200 times. I'm trying to memorise the third verse. I'll have it by this time next week, I reckon.
Yeah, good. We'll eagerly be awaiting it. The Kuma Stallions, 843 points last week. Little bit disappointing. I surprisingly went up a couple of spots. Thought I was going to drop. It didn't feel that bad. Just none of the big ones there. 8,958th overall. So I went up 287 spots. What it did sort of reiterate, though, was being well placed for sort of around 16 and 19 this week as well, although a little bit of a concern. Thinking that I'd had a poor week this week, the movement of the bye period and the opportunities here, because to think I had a poor week and still went up spots, like for around 16, 19 this week as well, a lot of opportunities, Spy.
I truly think round 13, which just passed, wasn't, as I said, a big moving week, just because people naturally had numbers.
Yeah.
You don't have to set up for it. You will find you have to set up for this week in particular, as well as 16 and 19. It could be really interesting over that sort of 6 week period.
So, Spy, rank check?
Rank check, 4.5K, about 6 points in front of Maty, I think, wherever he's coming.
Just ahead of Maty. Maty's going to extend his stay, put back the European soccer season to get ahead of you and get on the podcast. Desi, what are you?
430th.
Beautiful. Boys, speaking of rank check, the SC Playbook Unlimited League, we currently have the top 9 ranked overall people in NRL Supercoach and 17 of the top 20. Lovey's Meat Eaters, coached by Kyle, is back into first overall. Could it be Kyle Lovett, former Tigers back rower? It could be. I don't know.
It adds up.
If it is, reach out.
You please.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll get him on the show.
Tigers legend.
Yeah. Utility, what a man. Also, Brett Clark. So what we did at the start of the SC Playbook, the Supercoach season, we had a few people from the SC Playbook WhatsApp subscriber, WhatsApp community put together leagues, 20-man leagues from subscribers. It was first in, best dressed, named after all the SC Playbook contributors. So there was about 12 or 13 leagues or something. And Brett's given us an update, timely. Given that Maty is on the show this week, quote, I thought it would be a great time to give you an update on the SC Playbook leagues we've been running. Maty Ryan's league has the SC Playbook's highest ranked league at 75th after leapfrogging Nicky Moon a few weeks ago. Mooney slipped to 86. Spy, you're in third. Your boys, and girls, there's females in as well. Your crew, 101st. Gone past Desi this week in 105th.
What more do I have to do? What are the other 19 people in my league doing?
The Waterboy is in 167th. And to quote Brett Clark, special unmentioned goes to Tim Williams' league, who is languishing in 427th overall. What more can I do? Go up for 8,500 spots for starters. Guys, the Bloke in a Bar podcast crew as well, doing a live show at the Locker Room Hotel, 6 p.m. tomorrow, out the front of the Locker Room Hotel before State of Origin 1. I just said that twice. I don't know why, but that's all right. So if you are out to Origin, get to that on 6 p.m. Should be an absolute cracker. Spy.
Given those rankings just come through, I might need a call to arms for my league. We might have to have a bonding session in the coming weeks because a bit of work to do. We need a win here. So we'll have to reach out.
If my crew don't turn up, we're having a wholesale mid-season clean-out. The coach won't be sacked, the players will. Guys, the SC Playbook subscription package. We have approached that halfway point of the season and the bye period. Big moves to be made. So the SC Playbook NRL package drops to just $30 for our entire content. Gets you into the community, the WhatsApp community, late mail threads, all sorts of different things, premium articles on site. You've heard it all before, but you can get involved in that and support SC Playbook and the work that goes into it via the menu at scplaybook.com.au. On today's show, the first topic, the first major buy round is over. Our attention moves to the next 3-week little period, a mini one this week and leading into round 16, the next major buy round. How are we going to approach that? We're also going to have a look at halfbacks with news that Nicho Hynes is not backing up this week. He's going to be mass sold. Who's the man to go to? Team List Tuesday analysis, Blaize Talagi. A massive reprieve for owners. Very, very happy ones there. I'm not one of those people. Dylan Edwards also named for the Panthers on the extended bench. Very fascinating. Hot topics for the show is Brendan Hands, too good to be true at the Parramatta Eels. Spy Talk, things you may have missed, a Leo Messi edition. We'll then drop our round 14 trades and skippers, few listener questions, then wrap it up. Boys, team list Tuesday. First one at the West Tigers. Alex Lobb named on the wing. I just wanted to note that because Api Coruscant, who looks like a decent buy in coming weeks with a great schedule for the Tigers, they play the next 2 major buy rounds. Lobb is also a good goal kicker. So just monitor that.
Good call.
Because I'm keen on Api, but if Lobb were to take over the goal kicking, I've heard he's good. I don't know how good, but that would put a line through probably Api for me. At the Cowboys, no Jake Granville. This wouldn't seem like major news, but the Cowboys who have named all their origin players on the extended bench, they've currently named Sam McIntyre at hooker. This shows a lot of faith in hopefully Reece Robson backing up from Origin.
It's great news.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Really
I'm
good
very
news.
happy.
It is. At the Warriors, still no Sean Johnson, a bloke I massively had my eye on this week, but no good with, I think it was a pec injury. Chance Nickel-Cookstad back to fullback. Adam Fanua-Blake back as well. At the Broncos, they've named their players for now. Walsh, Hash, Carrigan, etc. Karapani, one of the cheapies of the week. Not named, but look, if Walsh doesn't back up from Origin, Selwyn Cobbo could go to fullback, Karapani back in. So still a bit to chat about around him. At the Sharkies, Teague Wilton is out. Sifa Talakai starts on the edge. Maty, no Nicho Hynes at all. We'll get to him a little bit later. At the Storm, still no Ryan Pappenhausen, due to start running this week. Sua Fa'alongo, you're a Fa'alongo owner?
Yeah, I am, mate, like you.
Ticking along nicely.
Yeah, happy to see him named at fullback again and no Pappy just yet. So hopefully he can go big this week against the Knights, I think they got.
Definitely. And then, so no Pappy. Worst case, I think he's back next week. If he goes to 14 for Alongo, not ideal, but with Xavier Coates on Origin duty. Also, Will Warwick's injured as well, so I think there's a spot on the wing for him regardless. So good news for him. David Armstrong named at fullback again for the Knights, despite... Look, he had a tough outing last weekend against the Doggies there in the wet conditions. Will Price, Fletcher Sharp named on the extended bench, both fullbacks. But a big week. We were a lot of owners of David Armstrong. That's about 80-odd% of Supercoaches. We need him to play.
Yeah, 100%. I thought he looked good on the weekend, despite only scoring like 24, 28 points or something like that. You can just see the potential. He's about to burst through and score. I mean, he scored a hat-trick the week before, and I sat him on the bench, of course. Then, but yeah, luckily it didn't count as part of my top 13 scores this week.
Poor Desi, you got something wrong last week.
Yeah.
But it is a big one to keep an eye out for as well. So while he would be invaluable buy period coverage, I think I just want him this week. Like, get through this week, and then if you drop out, so be it. But look, did struggle in the conditions, and hopefully back on a dry surface down in Melbourne, he can bounce back there. At the Panthers, they've named all their Origin players to back up for now. Jerome Luai and Jack Cole. That's the big news there, because a lot of people went towards Brad Schneider last week. He scored about 10 points for those who did jump on. It has shown that with Nathan Cleary out, Cole and Luai look to be the first choice halves there. Liam Henry on the bench. Luke Garner also back on the bench. So Garner probably replaces Liam Martin if he doesn't back up from Origin. The one thing with Schneider, though, I'm still not convinced Penrith players will back up from Origin. They obviously have been named there, but if Luai does drop out, Schneider would come back in for that one. Spy, the interesting one here, Dylan Edwards named on the extended bench. Matty, you were actually out at Blues training this morning and he was getting around there?
Yeah, he was there obviously in a bit of compression gear on that quad. Obviously with the reports coming out the other day, he was missing 4 to 6 weeks. To see him named on the extended is a big surprise. But maybe, I don't know, there's some funny buggers happening over there or whatnot. But I'll be very surprised if I see him line up, that's for sure.
Did you see him moving around? Like, was he walking freely in that?
No, he wasn't training. He was just there basically as an onlooker. He wasn't getting involved.
It might be, I think there's extended benches for Origin week. So maybe they just didn't really have anyone to name. They just threw him on. I think, and also worth noting, a lot of chat about 4 to 6 weeks. If you do own him, let's get some clarification around that, because it could be a lot less, is what I read as well. So he may not be an immediate sell, but it would be good to find out the actual time frame, wouldn't it? But it's a bit vague at the moment.
The fact that he's been named on the extended bench, surely we'll get word out of Penrith the next couple of days as to what the go is there.
I guess there's every chance, if I own him and I don't, and you're able to hold him this week, he might play next weekend.
Yeah.
And then he might not play Origin if when we win. When
We'll get
Teddy
to it
goes
shortly,
down
but there's a big the ramifications of Origin tomorrow night, like around Moses, around Nicho Hynes, around so many players. Fafita.
Yeah.
So, we'll do our best on this podcast. There will be a couple that are going to be a little bit speculative. I do the listener question and answer podcast on a Thursday morning. We'll have a lot more info probably at the back of that one. So that'll be a must.
I reckon we can somewhat predict Origin 2 sides after tomorrow
I
night.
agree. Yeah, for sure.
Just for those key dudes.
Desi at your Manly Warringah Seagulls. Lehigh Hopewade holds the fullback spot. One of the blokes who would have been one of the most purchased this player, and a bloke you went early on, Tolotau Kohler, named at centre, which after playing very well against the Broncos at Suncorp before getting injured, really surprises me. It's not diabolical, especially for this week because he's a player and at least he's back from injury, but I don't think he's a buy if he's at centre.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I brought him in under the impression that he was going to play fullback because he averages 100 odd at fullback. Kind of like Manu, he's just an absolute machine. He scored 170 odd there last year when Turbo was out. So, I think if he stays there, I might try and flick him because he's got fullback dual. Might try and flick him down and buy a gun fullback like Gutho or Trell or something like that.
Yep.
If he doesn't perform this week, but this week he gets the trot.
Yeah, certainly one on my watch list that I was really keen to get in coming weeks. But if he's at centre, I have no interest at all, to be honest. At the Parramatta Eels, Bailey Simonson sadly out for this season. I believe it was his ACL or a knee injury of sorts. Blaize Talagi gets the reprieve at centre. That is a massive, massive win for us because his break-even still about -19 and just more importantly, just gives an extra number this week. Kelma Tuolangi, Bryce Cartwright have peaked a bit of interest this week, named on the edges. Ryan Madison suffering from dizziness and hasn't played the last 2 or 3 rounds as a result. So I suspect he'll be named on that extended bench until he's cleared and good to go. Boys, let's get stuck into our first topic for the show, and it is just looking at the next 3-week period and how we're placed for that round 14 to 16, the next 3 weeks. Spy, I'll start with you, mate. I suppose, firstly, how many numbers do you have this week? It's obviously going to be impacted by the news of Nicho Hynes, and definitely not backing up because he hasn't been named by the Sharks. How are you placed at the moment, and how are you looking to navigate the next sort of 3 weeks?
Yeah, pretty good this weekend. Very lucky. Blaize Talagi named, Armstrong named, with a note that Fletcher Sharp is on the bench.
Bring back
there.
Morgan Harper. Get him in.
So when I went early on Hughes, I was banking on not necessarily Blaize playing, but one of my extra centres playing, or I was going to be well short, boys. So took the punt, came off. It's good. I've actually got at the moment one AE in halfback with Walker and Nicho, but I do have 16 other players and a couple on the bench, with only, I think, Reece Robson, who may not back up, and he could go to Sean Lane anyway if I had to, which is okay there. I think I'll probably trade out Nicho for someone just to get that full allotment of players, but pretty good, which is very thankful because I was really worried about this week. Round 16, I've got 13 players as we speak. That's after bringing in Mr. David Fafita. So if Queensland were to lose, when Queensland lose tomorrow night, maybe I won't get Fafita, but I think I'm not real happy not owning him at the moment, regardless of what happens. So, yes, 13 at the moment for round 16.
Yep.
And that's not looking too bad for round 19 either. I've got about maybe 11 or 12. Look, the thing is, boys, injuries are no doubt going to happen between now and then. So where I can avoid it, unless it's a bloke like a Fafita, who I think is a must-have imminently, I'm going to try hold off a little bit over the next couple of weeks just to see where the dust settles on everything. If I can put out a decent side, I'd much rather buy players closer to 19 where possible. There's no point getting 4 blokes in, 2 of them get hurt, then you got to trade them again. You're going to come up very short. So unless it's a bloke I really think I want playing in my side just for points value, have it hold off pretty well in the next couple of weeks. I did go ahead and get Latrell in fullback last weekend when Teddy was ruled out.
So you made 2 trades last week?
Made 3. You know I love a boost.
You're losing the plot, mate.
No, I was going to be short this week. We've spoken about this. I would have had like 14 dudes. So I bought Latrell in early for Reece Walsh because I was like, he won't back up his name, but I still question that. And I bought in...
Oh, I hope he's named. As a Reece Walsh owner, I hope he's named.
And I bought in Samuel Fainu for Morgan Smithies, who doesn't play this weekend, and knocked out 40 for you owners. Good stuff. So 2 trades I'm very happy with.
40 from a like absolute battler, 400k. You take that.
And he's not playing this week, so he's short again.
He's never playing this week. He's on the bye.
So I sold
I'm
him.
back in spying this on Fainu. He's a way better buy than
Got him
Smithies.
in.
For the same price or even cheaper, isn't he? He's around the same
I
price.
made about 50k. I literally would have been short this week if I didn't do
Fainu's
this.
80 minutes on an edge.
Desi, no one knocked the Fainu buy, mate. We'll be talking about Fainu later. He's a good buy.
But Smithies, nah.
Yeah.
Get rid of
Anyway,
him.
he
Get rid of
I've
him.
got full numbers because I'm a
Get rid of
genius.
Smithies.
I think ahead.
How many trades you got left?
20.
20.
Yeah.
Used 3 last week. That's all right.
Yeah, padding station's over there, isn't it?
Mate, you're gonna run. You're in all sorts.
How many of the Trell May tons have you missed?
Yeah, 2. I told you one of my thoughts though. I wouldn't have owned Sammy Walker if I owned Terrell, so he got 90.
Always a way to justify it.
Gee, I was lucky I found that one.
Maddie,
I was filthy.
how many numbers are you looking at the moment for this week?
Yeah, I think with Nicho obviously not named, I think I'm on 18 at the minute, and saved 2 trades last week, which I think is the first time this campaign I've been able to save trades. So I'm on 19 with 1 boost, so I've gone hard, but I'm liking my setup, and I've got numbers, and yeah, we'll see what unfolds in and around the Origin game this week.
Yeah. Desi, you mentioned before, and you threw a tweet out this afternoon, as you said, and talking about how hard you need to go for that top spot. You said you burned through trades pretty hard. I said, firstly, I suppose, how many numbers do you have this weekend? And, like, I don't think people's numbers for round 16 largely are going to be too bad. It doesn't look like the most difficult buy. Round 19 is going to be the really tough one for people moving forward, as well as we said, this current week in round 14. But I think there's going to be an opportunity to save trades over the next, certainly leading into round 16. I think people to get numbers for round 19 are going to have to go relatively hard from 17 to 19. But I reckon the next couple of weeks, people need to try and factor in, even if it's 1 or 2 save trades, it'll allow them to go that little bit harder to set themselves up for round 19 and the run home.
Yeah, I think that's the plan for me. I've got the full 17 this week lined up, so I can hold trades. It's just one of them is Sam Hughes, which is it's a bit dodgy. After coming off a 15 minute stint for 15 points, it's not someone you really want in your 17. I don't have like a backup like Maty has. I don't have that much squad depth. Even though I tried to, I've got as many Bulldogs, Tigers, Eels players as I possibly could. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to ride and die. Put the VC on. I was tossing up between Fafita and Galvanator, but I might go Galvanator, and then chuck the C on Fifi. And then, yeah, we'll see how it pans out from there. Because I think the Bulldogs is the last game, is it not?
Yeah.
So I can maybe, it makes it a bit more difficult, but we'll see. Yeah, I'll probably hold trades.
Yeah. It leads me to my next point around this week and a strategy that people should be looking to implement. Because most people are sitting around that 17, 18, a lot will be a lot less than that this week, I guarantee it. I'm currently sitting at 17. I ended up using 1 trade on Sunday last week. It was always in the back of my mind, but just with doubts around numbers this week, I was always going to go Angus Crichton to Eliesa Katoa. I ended up doing that on Sunday just to get ahead of the pack. That gave me 18. Nicho Hynes gone, down to 17, obviously with 2 trades and a boost up my sleeve this week. So should be okay with numbers, barring absolute disaster, but should be fine. But around that tactic, spy the vice-captaincy loophole. It's a big one this week, especially with Dave Fafita, who is going to be pretty heavily owned by the time this week rolls around. You VC him, or whoever it might be Galvin, they might do well. If they do well and you get a free crack at that vice-captaincy loophole, it can probably allow people the opportunity to save a trade this week. Whereas if the VC doesn't go as well and there's less incentive to do that, you might have to use the 2 trades.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look at VCing either Fafita or Latrell, Sadiavo. We'll know by 4:30 then how we're looking. If it's a cracking VC score, we can just go, sweet, well, I'll run with Nicho and Sammy Walker in the halves, run that VC loop, get my auto emergency in. Whereas if he doesn't go as well, then you might look to a better captain and bring in your 17th player so you don't have to run that auto emergency. I think it's a very viable tactic. The only question mark on that is if any of your players drop out late on a Sunday or Monday, then you'll do an AE end to zero. So I'm always wary of that on those weekends. Say, for example, David Armstrong doesn't play. I don't know anything, but just say hypothetically to get to Sunday and I go, now I'm too short. So I guess you'd be able to trade Armstrong to someone, but just be aware that could happen.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you've got the trade up the sleeve still,
you can find someone.
Yeah. So yes, definitely have a look into that because it could save people a valuable trade and get them a free crack at the VC loot, which is pretty huge. So, just on the trade situation, and look, we've all gone relatively hard at trades here. How do you feel about it, Desi? Because you've gone particularly hard. I said you've reaped the rewards. You're sitting in top 500. I've said this before, but I just think each week it's getting worse and worse because people continue to burn through trades. You know, people have used trades early and they've used 5 boosts early to set their teams up, but then injuries are happening and then you've got to trade people out. So you can set your team up as best as you want, but if injuries hit, which they will and will continue to hit, you've got to move blokes in and out. And an example this week is Nicho Hynes, who people are mass selling for obvious reason. You're going to want Nicho back in your team at some point. So there's 2 more down. How do you feel about yours at the moment, where you're sitting with this trade situation?
Yeah, well, I've got 18 left, so it means I can probably get away with just using 1 a week for the next, 6 to 8 weeks. Because, like I said, I've only got 2 players in State of Origin because I sold Nicho Hynes last week to Mitch Moses, just out of the blue, off a whim. And then my other 2 players are Valentine Holmes and Angus Crichton, who I'm very reluctant to let go of either of them because I think they're both the best players in second row and centre wing, respectively. So, that's my take on it.
Spike?
Just going to say on Nicho, if the Blues lose, it's got to be American potentially.
We'll get to
We're going to
halfbacks
get
in
to
about
that.
3 seconds, mate. Just woo up a sec. It's just, I just think that people, and I talk about this I think more than ever, people are going to be absolutely shot by running out of trades, lack of depth, injuries hitting when round 19, 20 come around.
I feel like you say this every year. You're fear-mongering.
Yeah, but for good reason. Like, it happened last year and there were mass restings and mass injuries. There were massive swings last year.
It happens every year. Yeah.
Exactly. I think this year will be worse because have you ever seen people go harder on trades and boost than this year? I feel like there's been a new tactic this year, certainly amongst a lot of well-credentialed super coaches and that have just used their 5 boosts, setting their teams up early.
I do think the vibe is have a crack early.
That seems it across the board.
Yeah, I think so.
Like even on this panel, I reckon this
overall, because it gets your team value high. You get your team together, and then you trade based on injuries after that. Once you have stacked 25 players.
Yeah, Maty?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to obviously be too far behind either come, the nitty-gritty end of the season. And if you have saved trades, not every single team in front of you is going to be, I guess, desperate. There's going to be a handful of teams as well that are in a good position. And if you really want to go for it and obviously try to take it out, I mean, me, myself this year, I think in the past I've been a little bit more passive and saved trades. And I've never really been, my best finish has been, I think, 2,200 or something. I've never really been around that top 1,000 or top 100, So I guess I'm looking at myself thinking, how can I get there? And I've gone a bit harder this year, and I think I'm closer than ever to that at this stage of the season. And I like the feeling of being in the hunt. So
heaps fun in the being.
My DMs are open, Maty. My DMs are open.
Yeah.
But like I said, obviously you're pretty vocal, Des, on the Twitter and socials and whatnot about what you're doing, and I'm obviously keeping track of what you're doing. And I've gone down that route this year, and like I said, I'm enjoying the position I'm in. But I mean, it's obviously a tough one. But like I said, I think being there and in the hunt, and then you're just obviously adapting each week to how it's unfolding. There's obviously so much to it, and as we know, to Supercoach, there's no right or wrong way.
Correct.
There's just won it. You've been close to winning it. All that with your different approaches. You just need that bit of fortune as well to go your way, and yeah, it's a tough one. But I mean, going harder this year so far for me has worked, and it's working, I feel, and I guess we'll find out come the end of the season.
And that's it, mate. There's no right or wrong way. Like Desi and I couldn't be more different approaches to the way we play Supercoach. Both have had success. So
proactive, reactive.
Yeah, exactly. Very different, and that's it. So it's not to say that like I'm very cautious and looking at you're looking at all these. The other thing with this year is because there's been major injuries to major players like Nicho Hynes, now Nathan Cleary, both players that people are going to want to get back. Potentially someone like Tom Trebojevic if he comes back on a tear. There's a lot of big players, like people selling Angus Crichton, myself included. People need to get him back in. It's just going to make the end of it very, very interesting, but it makes that run home so fascinating. It's why Supercoach is so great, because there's so many different strategies that people go with, and there's no right or wrong one, Spy.
I will say there's a massive opportunity now talking about going hard and then saving a little bit. From this round on, you can start to get blokes who play this week, around 16, 19, and basically the rest of the season. So you might be able to use one trade to get a bloke in who could still be there in round 27. So it means you have to only use one trade to cover multiple bye weeks, a decent player. Looking at someone like Trell, again, sure, he could come into Origin, but if he doesn't, I've got him now. He'll play all the major bye weeks, and I can keep him for the season. So you're not wasting trades, flipping around dudes for the buys. Or maybe it's someone like Samuel Afenu who, he's cheaper. You might be able to get a bloke like that to cover every major buy round, give you depth for the season. It costs you one trade. Whereas someone like, we'll use a hypothetical. Jerome Hughes, for example. We'll get to halves in a minute, but you can get him in, but then you may need to sell him or someone like that because they don't play round 19. So have a look at the sides that might play all the major bye weeks, like I think Manly do now, South, there's a couple of them, Titans, and you might be able to save trades that way, by getting blokes in and just sitting them there for ages, especially if they can do a job.
Boys, let's get on to our next topic, and it is halfbacks. And basically, what's the plan with Nicho? 984k, a break-even of 193 due to that 32-minute performance against the Panthers a few weeks back. Went off injured, scored 3 points. Tough week. Prior to that, he had scores of 114, 97, 160, 142. Ridiculous. Hasn't been named by the Sharks this week. The way I'm leaning towards it, Matty, is if the Blues win tomorrow night, and Nicho plays well, I'm going, okay, he's missing this weekend. He'll hold his spot for Origin 2, and you'd hope probably Origin 3 if he's played well and won or had a big role in winning Origin 1. If they lose, and God forbid he doesn't have a great game, I think your boy, the Eel, Mitchy Moses, skyrockets back into that spot. In which case, as the Spy alluded to before, he comes back round 15, would have the bye round 16, but then probably plays 17, 18, 19. That's the Doggies, the Titans, the Tigers. I think he's probably a hold. What are your thoughts with Nicho, hold or sell?
I think, as always with these guns, you see the start of the season as well, when Cleary and Hynes, and they start a bit slower, and Ponga, and people are panic selling them, because they're not seeing the immediate results. But in any given week, one of these guys, especially as a skipper option that they are, they can go on 180, 150 and all this. And at the end of the day, you don't win the game on cash. You win it, obviously, on the points. So I know in regards to my scenario where I've obviously gone hard on the trades, he's someone that I'm probably going to try holding because, I'm low and I don't want to sort of waste 2 trades to get him out and then get him back in, So I'd probably say from here on out, I'm looking more at the points perspective and not worrying so much about the cash drop or anything like that. But if he's resting games and still involved in the Origin, and then he's going to be missing some of these fixtures, then it's obviously a different thing that you need to be looking at, and that's a lot of value that's not going to be playing. But, you look at the draw that he's got there, the teams that he's playing. He could go back-to-back ton every single week there, with those defences. So you'd be really hurt if you're a non-owner, like he done, I think, a couple of weeks ago, where he went back-to-back tons, or it was maybe even 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And, lots didn't have him. So.
And that's it. And obviously it is, we're waiting to see how Origin plays out, but it has such a big impact on this. Desi, how about you, mate? Because, you've already sold. You sold him Mitchy Moses last week.
Nicho got the flicker, yeah. I got Moses on a whim. I didn't even think that he would come into Origin contention, coming back off a long stint of injury. I'd be surprised if New South Wales picked Moses, no matter what the result. unless, of course, there's an injury or something like that. I think Moses is the go. He's got a massive ceiling. He won it for me in 2019. I have to back him in. Have to back my boy in.
It's taking you 5 years to go back to him. Where's the loyalty?
So, we talk about these guys like Hynes and Cleary, who can score 150s, 160s. But I think guys like Sam Walker and Moses can also score those massive scores. We've seen it happen.
So you think, Desi, obviously you've already sold him, but that gets me. I'll rattle a few options off here before I get to you as well, Spy. But Jerome Hughes, the most popular at the moment, fourth most traded in, 682k, 69 points per game average, 117 break even. Mitchy Moses, that man, 701k, both at decent prices, 68 points per game and 19 break even after coming back with a bang, eighth most traded in. Sammy Walker, Spy, you jumped on him last week, that's Cody Walker. Cody Walker, if you wanted to shift Dylan Brown to halfback, Cody Walker, I was going to say Sam Walker's not 543k. Sammy Walker at Cody Walker at 543k, 54 points per game average, 29 break even, 27th most traded in. I actually had Sean Johnson on this list as the 81st most traded in. I couldn't believe it. I was keen on him, then he didn't get named. So I know. It's probably just a lot of people knowing that he wasn't coming in. But anyway, Spy, what's your plan with Nicho? And who do you think is the best replacement regardless? Because you already own Sammy Walker. You own Jerome Hughes, you say, or no?
I own Sammy Walker with Nicho.
With Nicho.
So it's
what are you thinking?
Perfect question. I think if the mighty NSW Blues lose tomorrow night and Nicho doesn't fare overly well, I'll definitely hold him for next week. Then see if he gets picked for Origin 2 and make a call. If we win, I'll definitely sell him, which would be great. But it may not be this weekend. We spoke about that vice-captaincy loop thing. But I think if we win, you'd sort of hope he holds his spot there. Will for Game 2, no doubt.
Yeah.
Game 3 is the interesting one because the Sharks do play that tricky bye week. It's a long way between our Origin 3, but I do think down to Origin result. If we win, I'll sell. If we lose, I'll hold for now and reassess. But if I am going to sell, I do have a question for Matty Buxton. Just Cody Walker, mate. Obviously watch the Bunnies very closely. Do you think he's still capable of delivering like he has in previous seasons? Or do you think, A, with the team just sort of struggling a bit, and B, him being another year older, he might be just sort of tracking down a little bit? I'd love a comment.
I actually think the last 4 games he's played, he's been great. I think he's had a hand in pretty much, not that there's that many tries for South, but had a hand in most tries scored. Like, the whole team's been going terribly, but I think he's been going good, and I think he's every chance to put on a couple more tries against the Titans this week. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't think we've seen. I don't think there's a dip. Put it that way. Not too much of a dip anyway.
You'd still back him in to be
100%
to perform at the level he has been.
100%.
I like him. The beauty of him is he's not highly owned. It's going to be fun, and he plays like every game now for the next 7-8 weeks, maybe more.
It's a great draw.
I do also think pending him being healthy, the worst he can do for you is going to be okay still. Like, he's not going to kill you.
Because he's cheap.
Yeah. So I really like him as a pod option, Cody.
And their draw, sorry, Matty, Titans, Broncos, Manly, a bye in round 17, which that's coverable.
Yep.
Parramatta, Dolphins, Tigers, Raiders. That's good.
It's a great run.
Is he playing right side for the Bunnies?
I reckon he will, Matty? Yeah, I reckon he'll play right. Jackie White will play left.
Does that hurt his value as a buy, playing the right side as opposed to the left?
I think he sweeps, mate, to be honest, a lot. And I also think he takes a lot more fifth tackle options combined with Jacko without a proper number 7 in there. Matty B? No, that's all right. Mike's gone.
It's interesting.
I just think he's definitely a viable option. Jerome Hughes, obviously a great option. Back from a calf injury, small concern there. But I mean,
who do you prefer?
Who do I prefer? Gee, it's tight. I think I prefer Jerome. But the fact Cody also gives you a round 19 number is a huge factor. It saves you a trade. That's a whole trade save just
Wish
to go
Jerome
Cody.
played that 19.
I know. I'm equally happy with either. Like, I don't want to sit on the fence too much.
Let's throw Mitch Moses into that. Blues win tomorrow night. Nicho gets man of the match. We're selling him. Mitchy Moses doesn't look like getting picked. Where's he going to
I'm not super keen on him because the one he covers is Origin 3. Para don't play round 16. By round 19,
Lot to come
So much to unfold. As you said, any reason to get Mitchie in that side, he's coming in because everyone knows that, with respect, he's probably our best halfback option at the moment. He just has been hurt, unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
And if he was back 4 days earlier, he'd be at the side. So
I think he's very close as well.
he'd be close if there's a way to get him in. So I'm going to hold off on Mitchie. And it's not like he's the bloke that's averaged 90 and 100 in the past where you go, it doesn't matter, I'll just take the risk. So Mitchie, no. The other one, talking about that swap, is, he plays halfback as well, but Matty Burton. So just the fact he's goal kicking in a good dog side, 18th man, or hopefully playing for us, but you basically don't get him for around 16 or 19, but you get a very...
Or 15.
Yeah, or 15.
They're on the bye next week.
Yep. Which you can cover, but it is frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to throw Burton out just because he's in the Origin side. Like, he could be a year-long option to plug in now, dual position. Just worth a thought. And Maxi Plath, just quickly, is the other one at 5'8", who's doing a hell of a job.
Birdo, just wait till 16. I know it's hard because people need to sell Nicho now, but you couldn't buy Birdo now because if he's in the Origin team again, in around it for Origin 2, he'd miss 15 and 16, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, so I think, in answer to your question, if you have to sell Nicho this weekend, it's Cody or Jerome.
Pick
One
one.
of those two boys. Pick one. Who am I picking?
You got to go
Jerome.
Cody. No,
My
you got to go the combination. You've already got Trell.
But my gut says Jerome, so that's the answer.
No, you want the combinations in Supercoach.
You just worry about 400th, mate. I'm coming to get you.
All right. That's what I always
Matty, you said you're ideally holding Nicho. If you had to sell, who would your man be? It's tough isn't it?
question. I don't know.
You can fence it, mate. We're good at it.
I'd probably... I mean, Moses, he looked good the other night. Being an Eels fan, I'll probably have to go down that route, to be fair.
Yes, Matty.
Goal kicker
Get
as
on the
well.
Moses train.
Give me extra incentive to cheer on the Eels even harder, if that's possible. But, I think you'd have to be my man. Goal
Yeah.
kicking as well, throw that
That's
in there.
big.
So
I was very tempted, to be honest, by Sean Johnson, but with not being named, I was hoping he would have been all good to go. But I think I like Jerome Hughes just because he's in a gun team, has a good draw, and just no risk of Origin. I don't need Armanara in question. You know, barring injury, you know when he's going to be playing. So
And the fact that he's in career best form. He's running as good as I've ever seen. His combination with Eli Katoa is phenomenal. And Munster's out, so he's going to see more and more ball.
exactly. So I'm leaning towards Jerome Hughes. Guys, housing loans and NRL Supercoach trading. They have a lot in common. Sometimes the rates soar, much like Nicho's break-even of 190, and you think, shit, you don't know what to do. You hit the panic button, you trade, and regret the move. Sometimes the rates look like Josiah Karapani's negative 73 break-even it is, and you're absolutely filling your pockets. Some of the numbers going around at the moment are pretty daunting after the RBA's recent announcement, but there's help available with Mortgage Choice SCW. Whether it's an investment property or the place you're living, the team can run the numbers to work out how much they can save you on your home loan. Once Paddy's done with the work, Nicho's break will look a lot like it's negative 73, and your repayments will be much the same. Usually it'd sting you $129, but if you mention SC Playbook when you get in contact, it's completely free of charge. To do so, flick them a message on Instagram at mortgagechoice_SCW, or you can give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. No matter where in Australia you're based. Boys, let's get through our hot topics for the show, and it is basically just the most traded in and out players, the ones of note. Spy, I'll go straight to you with this one, and David Fafita, 884K. For obvious reason, the most traded in player. But you touched on it before a little bit. If Queensland lose, he has to come into the frame for Origin. So, as a non-owner, I own, Matty, you own, Desi, you own, Spy. If Queensland lose, how do you feel about it?
Having a quick look, I think he would come in. I just think if you lose game one, he's that close. He's had a kick up the arse from Billy. I assume he's going to respond. I'm going to assume he then plays Origin 2, which means he missed round 16, he missed round 17, and missed round 19.
Yeah.
But in the interim, he gets the Bunnies and the Tigers. And I could probably hold him through those weeks. So I'd still probably lean to potentially just getting him in, which may come on the back of Angus Crichton, though. I'm assuming he probably plays decent minutes for the Blues. But if Gus comes out and plays like 30 minutes, I won't be selling Gus. I don't think. So maybe I'll see if I can fund Fafita another way. But put it like this, if Crichton comes out and plays his 60, 80 minutes, probably won't back up.
I'd be very surprised if Crichton played less than 60 minutes.
It would be a surprise. And then he probably doesn't back up. Or if he does, plays a minimal minutes. I think Fafita's in that basket of just being so good. I just want to get him in my side. It's too nerve-wracking, especially if you jokers got him. I don't want to be watching.
I
Worrying.
sold Crichton, and I'm very happy to have done so. You very reluctantly sold Maty last week.
Yeah, when Teddy got obviously pulled for that Sunday game, I had 12, and I ended up going Crichton to Helam Lukey. So I had Lukey to start the year, so at least I didn't trade him in before I traded him out once he got injured. And yeah, obviously I had spoken to you sort of via text, and I was going to go just Joe Chan straight to Lukey, but yeah, with that cash in Crichton and his upcoming draw and the games he could potentially miss. I mean, obviously we're assuming of his minutes tomorrow night. Hopefully Spy's wrong on that front and he does play sort of 80 minutes or above 60, and the fact that I've sold him, I hope that he does obviously get rested or play a couple of reduced minutes for the Roosters moving forward, and I'll get him back in after round 19, hopefully for a discounted price.
Yeah, I still think he's a sell. There's also a bit of an awkward round 23 buy as well, so it's not all straightforward with Angus Crichton. Brendan Hands, 246k, Parramatta Eels, now 80-minute hooker. Scored 65 last week with 51 in tackles. Played the full 80 minutes, a negative 20 break even. Desi, I don't like to question things that you do because they often somehow, for some reason, pull off. You went early on him and did it last week.
Yeah, I mean, I was scared of numbers, to be honest. I was scared of numbers last week. And I just wanted to get the plays in early to lock in, guaranteed scores early. So that's why I brought him in. I knew that he was a tackle machine. I've seen him play limited minutes before. He goes a point a minute, basically. So I think he's a borderline must-have if he continues to play 80 minutes for the Eels. I can't see him, I can see him averaging around 60, 50.
If he's the big question, though, with Joey Lussick lingering.
Yeah, but I think Hans proved that he's just the better player. I think he's just better.
He suits Mitch Moses, I think, and Clint Gutherson and Dylan Brown because he just tackles his ass off and gives good, clean service.
Yeah, exactly.
I reckon it wouldn't matter what Hands did. Desi would just be like, he's definitely the better player because he's got him. just convinces himself. Backs him in.
I think if Para continue to win games, then I think he's in there. So
also a big if.
Yeah, he was so close to getting one as well, a smidgen away from the time.
So was Joey Manu, but here I am with a shit captaincy score, Desi.
Joey.
We all had Joey Manu.
Actually, a few didn't, which was very upsetting.
Yes. Look, I can't knock the Brendan Hands buy. If you're in need of a hooker, my squad isn't, so I'm happy to bypass.
Yeah, if you got like Levi or someone.
Yeah,
boom.
go for it.
Yep.
Number 3, I don't think we need to spend that much time on this bloke, boys, but the number 3 most traded in player, Elias Katoa, 765k. He's averaging 75 points. He's got a 54 break even. He's got a great draw with Melbourne. He's not going to be impacted by Origin. He's got huge attacking upside, basing about 46 per game. I got it when early and got him last week. I think he's basically a must-have in a 2RF position that, outside Fafita and Crichton, who both have now Origin concerns, it's not very good. Does anyone here not think he's a must-have? No.
He's a weapon.
Moving on.
I don't want to say too much, but he's a weapon.
Moving on. Number 5, Latrell Mitchell, 757k, 79 points per game average in what's been a very ordinary Bunnies outfit. He's still killing it Supercoach-wise. 46 break even, plays round 16 and 19. Interesting that you went early on Latrell, Spy, because if the Blues get done, geez, there's got to be temptation for them to bring him in.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole reason I did it on Sunday Arbor was I knew I was probably going to be short without him this week. So I just wanted to get him in, bank those points. As I said, on the phone there, if he plays Blues, it's because he's killing it at club level. So a couple of back-to-back tons I'll lock in there and reassess if need be.
Yeah, I'm very keen on Latrell this week. I'm a Trey Fuller owner, so I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Again, if the Blues lose, you might reassess that some more and go, are they going to bring him in? Did we lack strike on the left edge?
Exactly. We can assess these things after the game, of course, but I do think he looks like a good buy there. Number 6, Josiah Karapani, 204k at the Broncos, negative 73 break even. Not named for the time being, but if one of those Broncos boys, Cobbo or more likely Walsh, doesn't back up, Karapani probably comes in. He's going to tempt some. He'll make you cash. He'll cover around 19 for the Broncos, but Jesse Arthurs is still to come back as well, so I think you're looking at enough at some point, barring injuries, and I just don't think it's probably worth the play. Number 7, a really interesting one, Keon Koloamatangi, 584k, 61 points per game average this season, negative 1 break even. I need to get his stat line up, but he made the move to the middle for the Rabbitohs last game, and he scored like 134 points or something. The numbers were incredible. He based about 60 odd.
Had he played middle previously? That's the question at all this season. Do we know?
No, he hadn't.
So it's
At least not, I don't think big
not
minutes
predominantly, yeah.
But look, he only had prior to that game one score over 55 for the season. But last week, the week before against Parramatta, 133 points, 2 tries, 26 tackles, 7 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, a line break, 23 runs. Like, it feels to me, Desi, Kalamatangi's got you written all over him. I feel like you've always been a big Keon guy. He's cheap. He has that great draw. A lot of back rolls for the Blues, so probably a little bit unlikely. It feels to me like chasing last week's points, but if he's an 80-minute middle, churning out numbers like anything near that, even take away the tries and line breaks, he could be something special.
Yeah. I've got my eye on him. 3 plays, really, I've got my eye on for maybe one trade this week, which is him, Cartwright, and Tuolungi. So it's a big 3 to toss up between. Cardi Party's looking amazing. He's throwing the offloads. He's getting the minutes. I mean, Eels are just they're due a surge up the ladder. Same with the Rabbitohs. These teams, you can't hold them down for long when they've got players like this. I'm gonna flip a coin between Keon and Cartwright, I think.
Yeah,
I got a word for Keon. Prove it. I'm like, obviously going before the crowd is the way to win Supercoach, but the way he's been for 18 months, I'm not buying into one good game. Hey, like
it feels like
do it
chasing
again.
last week's
Do
points.
it again, and we'll talk.
I'm a bit the same. Yeah, like he's the negative break even, so you probably want to go this week, but you don't have to. Like, he's not that expensive where he's going to be 700k.
I just find it hard to trust him at the moment.
Yeah, I think Samuel Afainu, 415k, 13 break even, dual tour front row forward. I think he looks a great buy this week for anyone who wants to pick him up and strengthen that front row. Spy's already spoken a bit about him. Ditto Api Coruscant, who's 515k, 19 break even, 61 average for the season. Another one probably to look out for just a little bit if the Blues do get done. Does he come into that frame? But does look like a decent buy, covering around 16 and 19. Hopefully goal kicking as well for owners. And Desi, 2 blokes you mentioned there, the 15th and 16th most traded in. Kelma Tuolungi, 354k, negative 18 break even, and Bryce Cartwright, 504k, 26 break even. Maty, you're the Eels man. What do you think of these boys' job security? Because Sean Lane's gone to a middle forward role in recent weeks, playing limited minutes. These two look to have locked down the 80-minute roles. Ryan Madison, we don't know when he's back. He may be back this week after getting named on the extended bench. How do you like the job security and minutes of these boys?
Yeah, it's not without risk. I think perhaps Bryce Cartwright is the more secure one. Obviously, he's locked down that position there on that right edge probably since 2 years ago. The Cardi Party obviously got back in full swing when he was at bottom price that year, and I missed him then. He's obviously had an affordable 500k there now, and I'd probably say that he's the most secure out of those two. But yeah, like I said, it's not without risk with Mato to come back. But obviously, Lane's moved to that sort of off the bench middle role at the minute. When Mato comes back, does that change or not? I'm going to grab a feed with him tonight, so I might ask him the question and get some inside info. But as long as you don't share it with Spy, so
I won't. I'll kick Spy out of the SC Playbook WhatsApp group, and then I'll reveal it to the SC Playbook subscribers, and then we'll get him back in when the weekend's done.
Sounds good, mate. I'll hold you to that.
I'm holding Laney anyway. I'm loyal, mate. Unlike some.
Of the most sold list, And we'll see this a bit in coming rounds over the bye period, but they're basically all littered with people on the bye this week, so there's not going to be too many arguments. I did want to touch on, though, Des, you spoke about him earlier, but Sam Hughes, fourth most sold, 354K. He's got the bye next week as well, but he does play the next major bye round in round 16. He only played 15 minutes, but Gus Gould came out on Twitter and just said he's a rookie forward. He's played big minutes in the last 6-7 weeks. In fact, he'd played 35-plus minutes in the 7 games prior. It makes sense. Clubs do this because they had the big lead on the Knights. I think they just said, look, we'll take this opportunity to give him a rest. Desi, I think he might be a relatively reliable player in 17s this week and get his minutes again. Like, he might only get you 35, but in the front row forward slot, there's not much better out there.
Yeah, so you reckon hold the trade, don't go up to Cardi or Galoa Matangi?
No, well, Sam Hughes is front row.
Yeah, but I've got Jules to...
Oh, sweet for you, yeah.
But yeah, so you
So
think...
if you can turn Sam Hughes and you've got, like, cover at front row, that's all good.
Yeah, I've got cover there. I've got Trell May, Fainu, and... Who else do I have there? Curran.
Terrell May, Curran. Yeah, cruising.
Yeah.
I just did want to flag one thing with Sam Hughes, and I'm in this boat as well. Next week, I own Curran, Sam Hughes, and... it gives me shivers every time I say it. Puaso Farmasili. I just can't get rid of him. The doggies are on the bye, so I'm short a front rower. So there'll be a lot of people in that similar spot. Just be wary of it. I'm looking at probably turning Sammy Hughes into Adam Fanua-Blake next week, I reckon. They'll also probably drop a similar value. So there's a bit going on with Fanua-Blake. I just want to see what minutes he comes out and plays this week, see him drop a bit of cash, etc. But people could get caught short with that one.
Do you want to borrow Fainu off me next week?
I'd love to.
Okay, we'll talk.
Is that all right?
Yeah, maybe.
Bit of brotherly love. Thanks, mate. Spy talk, things you may have missed. Now, not things you may have missed as such, but we do have the Socceroos skipper on the podcast, and we better ask him a few questions related to it. What do you got?
Yeah, so it's the one that everyone probably just ponders and wants to know about, and it's that man, Leo Messi. Arguably, if not the best of all time to lace up a boot out of billions of players. It's pretty remarkable stuff.
Billions?
Well, I mean, in the world. How many players? Like the most popular player in the world, no doubt.
Generations.
Yeah, it's a lot of players.
We've spoken about, I didn't mean professionally right now. But we've spoken in the past, man, about when you try play sides, you try to say to the boys, just don't worry about who they are, right? Just pretend it's a shadow, just compete, react, do what you do. I guess the question is it different against Messi? Do you think younger blokes struggle mentally against him? I know you don't because you're focused and locked in. And how is it to play against him? Like, it'd just be interesting to know.
Yeah, I'll say from, on my journey in life and football, and, I'm as competitive as they come, obviously, and at the end of the day, I want to win football games. That's what gives me the most fulfillment and purpose in life. And I guess one thing I've learned through my own experiences and reading things is about that winning mindset and winning mentality. And I feel like obviously now in this day and age, at my experience and whatnot, when I go out on that pitch, I'm in that great mental state that I need to be in order to deliver my best performance to help my team win the game. But there was obviously moments when I was younger in my career and lessons that I learned from where perhaps I didn't do that. I got sort of caught up, getting in awe of the opposition I was coming up against. And in hindsight, that didn't allow me to play to my fullest potential. I felt, feeling like my first World Cup, for example, taking the approach where, it was my first time playing at the highest level. I played 3 years in Australia and 1 year in Belgium prior to my first World Cup experience. And all of a sudden, I was coming up against Spain, Holland, and Chile. Players that had, been obviously built up to be these superhuman people. And I sort of got into the mindset, which was that I needed to become something that I wasn't, a superhero, to stop the likes of Robin van Persie, Arjen Robben, Alexis Sanchez, and these sorts of guys. And in hindsight, that didn't allow me to play to my fullest potential, I felt. So sort of from that moment on and moving forward, I tried to implement the mindset where I'm just going out there and it's, like you say, 11 other shadows out there, 11 other people kicking the ball. And I sort of take that, I guess, oblivious approach to it all. So, Messi himself, obviously what sets him apart is his amazing skill set and all that he does in the game. But, everyone always asks what it is like to play against him. And it would be that much fucking better if we beat them, you know, and he didn't score a goal against me, you know. So at the end of the day, I become another goalkeeper that he just scores against, and it's a bit of a shitty feeling, obviously. So, that's the sort of approach that I take. I know everyone is different, but I feel from what I've read and what I've learned in life and football, that's the best approach to take for me. And hopefully I can maybe get another crack at him. And he scored a hat-trick the first game and then 1 goal in the 2 other games I've played against him. So I'm still vying for that at least clean sheet or him not scoring against me. So that's, I guess, the motivating thing for me.
Very good, mate. Very good.
Better than most goalkeepers in the world against Messi. Mate, you're also...
He's never scored against me. Yeah.
Is that right? I actually think you're missing out because I think he reached his 1,000th goal, he actually bud the beer.
Saw that, yeah.
They actually organised beers for every goal he scored and sent them to the goalkeepers that he got. So I got 5 sent to me in that time. No, sorry, it was 3 because I hadn't played him but there was other goalkeepers. I know Diego Alves at Valencia at the time. I think he got 20 beers or something like that, you know. And they're all numbered. So his first game against me was a hat-trick. I got beer number 467, 466 and 465 or something like that, you know.
It's good stuff,
That's
It's good stuff.
Mate, you're in La Liga, played in the Spanish competition as well. Obviously would have played against Cristiano Ronaldo, who was tougher to face. And Cristiano's a big listener of the SC Playbook podcast, so be careful.
Actually, I was only ever been on the bench against Ronaldo. I haven't faced him.
Yeah, right.
So that's something that haven't had the pleasure of doing, unfortunately. But they're both still kicking on at their ripe old age, so we'll see what happens from here on out.
Beautiful, mate. Boys, back to a bit of Supercoach action, trades and skippers for this week. Desi, what are you thinking?
Thinking no trades. I think you've talked me into it. I think
Good man.
I'll give Sam Hughes a trot. Based on Gus, I'm going to take Gus on his word. He's going to get some more minutes this week. VC, I was leaning towards Fafita and then skipper on Drinkwater. But talking to Maty pre-show, he was on board with VC Galvanator into C Fafita, who's always just a safe and sound 80 points for you.
Dragons win Stadium Friday night.
Galvin can go huge.
The other one there, it's a 2-day backup for the Dragons. Like, Benny Hunt, what's he, 34 or 5, so it's a quick turnaround. But, yeah, right, Gavin, and sitting on the hand on trades, I like that if you do go ahead with it. Spy. It's a tough week. We do need to see what plays out with Origin.
It is a tough week. It goes out saying, let's see what happens in Origin. But at this stage, I've got Angus Crichton sitting there. He's not playing this weekend regardless. They're on the bye. So, as we said before, pending him punching out big quality minutes for the Blues, I'll bring David Fafita in. Could have a change of heart if I do think Fafita's going to come into Queensland. But as discussed, I do think I want him in my side long term anyway. So, I'll probably just do it now. Lock and load for the rest of the season regardless. He'll also become my vice-captain or captain, depending on what I want to do around that possible loophole scenario. The issue being it's game 2 for Fafita, so I'm not super keen on VCing someone in that Tigers-Saints game. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. And then Jerome Hughes may come in for Nicho. We'll just see how the state of the nation is and make a decision. That will be Saturday night. Yeah.
Maddie?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think I'm going to watch the Origin game tomorrow night to see how Reece Walsh goes. And obviously, if I get word if he's going to be in or not, I think he can also be a captaincy option there up there at Suncorp. Likewise with Val Holmes as well. I mean, if he's not named, if we get word of that, Drinky obviously then will be a goal kicker as well against the Warriors outfit.
True.
That has been struggling a little bit as well, even though they've probably got some cavalry back this week. But at the minute, I'm sticking with Desi's ploy there of Galvin, VC, and the C on Fafita.
Nice.
And trade-wise, Sammy Hughes, I'm in the same boat as you, mate. I've got the 3 doggies up there in the front row. So, yeah, it would depend again if Reece Walsh, if we get word if he backs up or not. I may sit on trades and back Gus Gould's words that he'll get a few more minutes, or with that bye next week, maybe I don't know if it's a bit of a luxury trade, but maybe Samuela Fainu to him and can play around with some trades and got that extra number.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Sammy Hughes to Fainu looks a pretty good move for people in our situation. I'm with you. And Spivey mentioned before, there could be a season-long hold just with that coverage. And look, certainly Bateman and Papali'i not back for a fair while, so I don't mind it. thinking a little bit similar in terms of I really need to see how Origin plays out, but I'd like to try and save a trade this week. However, if I do make 2 trades this week, it's going to have me more than ready already for round 16, in which case I'll have an opportunity to save trades, whether it's next week or the week after. So I'm not too concerned about when I use them. One option, though, is pending the Nicho Hynes situation. Nicho Hynes down to Jerome Hughes I'm leaning to. Would allow me also to go Trey Fuller to Latrell Mitchell. So damn good ones there, should things pan out that way. And then the other one is, just potentially Sam Hughes to, I wouldn't use a boost, but Hughes to Fainu, and then I also kind of want Adam Fanua-Blake next week, but lots to play out. SC Playbook, listen to that question and answer podcast Thursday morning. Be able to work that one out from there. Boys, a few questions and then we'll wrap it up for this week's podcast. First one from Pat, the NRL mailman. You have made so many great saves in your career, Matt, but do you think even you could save Tim's season? Pat throwing shade, and it's hit as well. It's
hit hard.
You got me covered or what?
Well, I don't think I've actually beat you yet, so it's definitely a motivating factor. So I hope I can sort of let one through the gloves there and not make that save.
Clean sheets against Messi, beat me in Supercoach, mate. Dreams are free. Jay, no, that's a long one. We're not going to do that tonight. It's a good question, though. Ryan McShane, is it too early to start nothing? If not, who's on the cards? We don't know who's on the cards. I haven't looked into that deep. I don't think anyone would have. Boys, a quick enough chat, because it does start to come up around this time. You know my feelings on it. I think you're mad as a cut snake if you start nothing after the points I've made on this podcast. Desi, you're a bit of a nuff hound. How do you feel?
Well, I've already got enough in Joe Chan. That's enough for me.
Was that intentional or not?
That was great.
You've got Viliami Fafita as well.
I do, yeah.
Jeff
So I've got
Farmasilli?
2
No.
nuffs. That's enough.
Yeah.
2 nuffs is enough.
Spy?
You don't want more.
Yeah, I've got Chan and Farmasilli, so I won't be on more than that. I'll actually be ideally turning one of them into someone, but I can cop 2 if need be, with the hope that maybe Chan plays at some stage.
I'm Farmasilli as well, and unfortunately Sam Hughes is probably the option. I'd love to be able to pay $200K and get Farmasilli to final and just strengthen that squad, but because Sam Hughes is on the down a little bit, we'll see.
I could actually go Joe Chan to Kelmer this week if I want to. So that would be not doing the halfback trade. Yeah. It's got to be on the cards. But we'll
so
see.
many options this week. It is tough. Maddie, one from Ryan Evans. Which Socceroo would best suit a code switch to rugby league, do you reckon, mate?
I think outside myself. I'd probably have to say Matthew Leckie. He's
flying winger.
Yeah, but he's also built like an absolute rhino as well, you know. I get sort of Brian To'o vibes from him, you know. So I'd probably have to say him. Brian
To'o that runs the 100 in like 10 flat. Was he a footballer or not? Because I know there's a lot of league fans amongst that crew.
He's unfortunately he's an Adelaide boy, and I think AFL is more the sport. But actually, probably outside of playing football, he's probably a gamer. He's always on the PlayStation and all that. So I don't know if he's got another sport up his sleeve. He doesn't talk much about AFL, so I'll have to have a word to him.
Matty Yerman. Big Playbook fan, big footy fan.
Yeah, mate. He's also he's in a couple of groups and all that. He's one that's always puts his hand up every year to get involved, and he goes all right as well. So big fan and big NRL lover, big Dragons fan.
Oof, tough going for Matty. Next up, what do we got? One from Squashed. One that surprises me a little bit, but I have seen it cropping up. Spy, you still own Walsh? Or you sold him last week.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, except I knew I was going to be likely short this week. But what's the question?
Just asking, sell Walsh over Origin.
Oh, I mean, if he backs up, definitely not. So then he's got a really good clash next week.
What if he, Matt? You are an owner.
I am. Yep.
If he rests this week, temptation to sell or not?
I mean, that's the predicament I'm in a little bit. You know. If I've got numbers, do I sell them or do I hold them, you know?
He plays the Bunnies next Friday night. Could be anything. So, I don't want to be giving you anything, but I'd be holding if you could.
Like I said, these guys that can go big scores and all that, I mean, if I can hold them, I think I will if I've got the numbers. So, it's obviously team dependent. So, I mean, if you do want to sell, I think probably Latrell is the one to go.
It's enticing, Walsh to Trell.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully he can back up. But yeah,
You potentially won't know when Trell runs outside Diabo if Welsh is playing. So it's just one of those things.
It's very
a bit
difficult. Probably just, if you can do it, just hold fire and just see how it plays out. You could even potentially sell him around 16, but it is a difficult one there. Boys, one from... No, we've touched on a few of these already, so I won't do it again. Matty, a couple more to you before we do wrap it up for the show. From Matt Sheen, best player you've ever played with?
David Silva.
Yeah, right.
I was there at Real Sociedad with him, and yeah, they don't call him the magician for no reason, you know. His time at Man City, Valencia, wrapped up at Real Sociedad there, and the ball just sticks to his foot like glue, you know, and he's got these hips that just twist and turn, and on top of that, like a prolific finisher in front of goal as well. So, yeah, I've played with some great players, but he's definitely one that takes the cake.
Last one, mate. Who wins the Euros? About to kick off, one from Tarn.
I'll probably have to go with...
Who do you think will be in the final? Who will be in the final and who's going to win it?
I'm going to say France-England final.
Ooh, big one.
Yeah, the French, obviously, the last decade or so, I mean, even well before that as well, but they've been quite strong, and I think they're going to be my tip. Which
English player will miss the penalty in the shootout to cost them the Euro final?
Harry Kane.
Boys, let's wrap that up for the round 14 edition of the SC Playbook podcast. Matty, been great to have you on board, mate. Snuck in. You're not over here for a long time, so appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, boys. It's been great talking Supercoach again. Spy. Mate, I do listen to your advice as well on the potty. So
it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah,
it's just our rivalry. That's all.
It's not all hate, mate.
We're both competitors. Don't worry
yeah,
about that.
but it's all good. Good to see Desi as well. So, Matty, nice to meet you as well. First in person. Do a great job, mate. So, all good.
It's all happening. Desi, continue the good charge.
Let's go.
Spite,
Desi,
do whatever it is you do.
Very impressive. Do whatever I do. Cheers, boys. It's been good fun. Matty, cheers for coming on, mate. Been very good.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great week. Have a great weekend of Supercoach and up the Mighty Blues.